The White House today is giving Congress its discretionary spending request for the next fiscal year, part of an overall budget that will come later this spring. Here to take us through it is Democratic Congressman of Virginia, Don Beyer, who serves now as chair of the Joint Economic Committee. So, Congressman, thank you for being here, and congratulations on being chair now of the Joint Economic Committee.
Thank you, David.
Give us your reaction. There's a lot of things in here, many of which actually are related either directly or indirectly to the COVID pandemic.
It's a very exciting budget. It's a 16% improvement over the domestic budget last year. And for the first time in a long time, it actually right sizes it with the defense budget, which went up about 1.5%. And so the big thing, I think, first of all, is that it's a huge, more than a doubling of the money for the Title I schools, K through 12 in high poverty areas, to make sure that every child has a chance to get a good education in America. The second big thing is it creates ARPA-H. We all probably remember that ARPA was the one that created the internet for the Department of Defense all those years ago. Well, ARPA-H is advanced research products for health, so that we're thinking ahead on future pandemics, what happens with variants with the existing pandemic, and how do we get ready for dealing with the crush of Alzheimer's that's still to come, and dealing with cancer. It's a very exciting new initiative.
So give us your experience. We have these requests coming to the White House. Are they likely to bear any relationship to what actually comes out in a budget that ultimately is approved by the Congress?
Yeah, and probably, David, more so now that we have a Democratic House and a 50-50 Senate. We'll get the specifics. This is the skinny budget, just the top lines. But I think that he's meeting needs of the American people. It doesn't seem like a political budget at all, and certainly not a partisan budget. For example, he's got $30 billion in there for housing vouchers. All across the country, urban and rural, and Democratic and Republican, we have a huge number of people that are homeless or can't afford houses. And this expansion of housing voucher will help everybody.
Well, you say it's not partisan. At the same time, there are things in here for climate change that has been partisan sometimes. Gun violence, combating gun violence, that certainly has been partisan. And even root causes of migration from Central America, those tend to break down on Republican Democratic lines, don't they, Congressman?
Yeah, although I think that for my Republican friends that think long term, these are wise investments. It's so much better to deal with the root causes in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador than at the border. If we can relieve the enormous hunger and poverty that we're seeing in the Northern Triangle right now, we're not going to see, 80,000 families or individuals show up at the border. Similarly with gun violence, there's nothing in there about taking guns away from law-abiding American citizens, but trying to treat with neighborhoods and root causes of the gun violence, which again tends to come back to undereducation, poverty, lack of opportunity.
So, Congressman, that's not the only news being made by the White House today. We also got news of an executive order that's going to appoint a bipartisan commission to investigate whether we should make changes to the Supreme Court. We'll have term limits or increase the number of members. Did this come as a surprise to you?
No, and I'm really pleased to see it. I looked through it, David, before we came on the air. Very good people, and again, across the political spectrum. I've had a bill for a couple of years with Congressman Ro Khanna to do 18-year term limits and lifetime benefits, so that you don't have presidents attempting to appoint the youngest possible person who can live as long as possible. And it would be 2 Supreme Court justices per presidential term. It would make the Supreme Court look more like the presidents that we're electing. Right now, it tends to sort of group and concentrate, and I think it will give us a better court.
Yeah, for what
and hopefully a court that's seen as less political.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I actually know several of the people on here as well, and I agree. These are really quality legal scholars and practitioners, without a doubt. This is just to have a bipartisan committee to make a recommendation. Do you think there's the political will to actually make fundamental changes to the Supreme Court?
I do. Some of my friends on the political left would love to see an expansion, which President Biden's against, and I'm not excited about. It takes a long time for the public to build up its confidence or to lose its confidence in an institution like the court. So the kinds of changes we need to make need to be very thoughtful, and the kind that, if anything, makes the court ever more credible to the American people as the final arbiter between, the legislature and the executive.